Recently, I was able to explore one of the most magnificent mansions ever known as Linwood Hall, also famously known as the abandoned Titanic owner's mansion. It took hours to explore all of its 110 rooms. It had crazy long hallways, a chapel, and even its own library. The most amazing part of this mansion was the front foyer, making you feel as if you were on the Titanic itself. Linwood Hall, after being purchased many decades ago by a religious group, has continued to decay and its age is definitely showing. I do hope someday somebody buys it and restores it, as it is a remarkable piece of history that deserves to be preserved.
We all know Mercy Brown, the vampire whose family exhumed her, removed her heart and liver, set them on fire, and drank the ashes. But did you know that right next to her graveyard is the receiving vault where this all went down? Mercy's body was kept here during the cold winter, so when they went to see if she was a vampire, she had blood preserved in her heart.
Look, it's opening. That's crazy.
Can you open all the way?
It's closing. Wow. Oh, wow.
Hello, somebody's in there? Are there human beings here, sleeping here? Oh, no.
Wow. Anybody in there?
I think they're asking us to come inside.
But what if it's a real person? You want this? You got something? Oh, shit.
Hey, what's a 4,000-year-old Egyptian mummy doing buried in Vermont? This is the grave of Amener-Khepeshef, the 2-year-old son of a pharaoh, making him a prince. His date of death was 1883 BC. Grave robbers removed him from his tomb until he was purchased, sight unseen, by Henry Sheldon to display in a museum. When he made it to the U.S., Sheldon was infuriated by the poor condition he was in and chose not to display him. He was kept in an attic until he was discovered by curator George Mead in 1945, who chose to cremate the mummy's remains and gave him a Christian burial at the West Cemetery.
Creepy Reddit post, part 3. This creepy story comes from a woman who posted an Ask Reddit about a time she was driving home from college and ended up needing to stop for the night because of a bad storm. She found a rundown motel off to the side of the road and decided to pull into there. The man at the front desk was really creepy, but she still went ahead and got a room for the night. When she entered the room, she saw the terrible condition it was in, which included things like cockroaches, and she decided to go out and sleep in her car for the night instead. During the night, she woke up after hearing some noise coming from the motel, and when she looked out of her car window, she saw a group of men entering her motel room. She quickly jumped into the driver's seat and sped out of there as quickly as possible. When she finally got home, she told her parents what happened and they insisted on calling the authorities. When the police in that area called them back, they informed them that that motel hadn't been opened in years. Make sure you guys like and subscribe for more.
The Earth is hollow.
No, we're not in agreement on this.
Alright, Joe, I get it. The idea of a hollow Earth is a lot to take in at first. But let me ask you this. Why has NASA blurred out satellite pictures of the North and South Pole? Also, why are no planes or satellites permitted to come a certain distance of the poles? Also, explain this picture from 1987 from Russian space station Mir showing light being emitted from the pole. Why is there a body of water 3 times the size of the Earth's ocean 400 miles into the Earth? Modern science cannot confirm what is at the Earth's core. Alright, this is my favorite one. Why do so many ancient cultures talk about their interactions with a subterranean race? Also, what's up with the Germans escaping to subterranean cities during World War II? And also discovering a map to secret passageways, where they found different entrances near Antarctica. Joe, just give it up, man. The Earth is hollow.
This is one of the most haunted places in the United States, and I wouldn't spend the night here alone. This is the notoriously haunted Malvern Manor in Iowa. It's reported that over 150 people died in these halls, as this building was at one point a nursing home, a mental health facility, and also a hotel. People claim that the upstairs of the house is haunted by some children, including the ghost of a young girl who took her own life with a jump rope. I'm not even kidding, this is an actual event that happened. The building building has been abandoned for a long time, and we got private access to investigate overnight for ghosts. And let me tell you, even while we were doing the interviews for this video, interviewing one of the owners of the building, we heard ghosts talking in the hallway. I'm not even kidding, it's in the footage. There are also hallways in this building like Shadow Man's hallway, where people have seen a 7-foot-tall shadow figure run at them from the end of the hall, then suddenly disappear. Let me know in the comments below, would you spend the night in this building with me? And this video is going to be on my YouTube channel next Wednesday. Link is in my bio.
David Eckhart captures images of entities in his home in the reflections of a steel sphere. The last 4 images show David being overtaken by a dark entity. Doesn't recall this at all. This is how he says he's abducted. This could be the first alien abduction on camera.
The photo behind me looks pretty normal, right? I'm sure many of you have seen this photo floating around TikTok or other news sources recently. On the morning of June 26, 2021, 5 people got onto this hot air balloon. Unfortunately, not long after taking off, the hot air balloon allegedly hit some power lines. This caused the carriage holding all 5 people to come apart from the hot air balloon. Though the balloon kept rising, the carriage did not. The carriage plummeted to the ground, killing all 5 people on board.
Urbex Hill is an urban exploration channel where he brings abandoned location footage to his audience. He never claims any type of paranormal or ghost activity in this video, but we know exactly what to look for. And unknown to him, someone or something was definitely following him. As he's making his way inside through the gym side, he immediately captures something shocking, and without even realizing, he heads right towards it. Urbex Hill makes his way inside the locker room, but no one seems to be inside. As Urban Hill makes his way to the 2nd floor of the school, it becomes absolutely clear that something is watching him, but he never notices. The same figure as before seems to be following him around the school. As Urban Hill approaches, the figure seems to dash away. Once again, he never notices. It's only until after he posts a video that people like myself point out these anomalies in the video. Urban Hill never notices any of these apparitions that he caught, but unexplained sounds and noises, including a desk dangerously close to the ledge of the stairs that was not there before, give him very bad vibes, and he decides it's time to remove himself from the situation. Let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments below.
Let's talk about the legend of Emily's Bridge. This creepy looking bridge in Stowe, Vermont is haunted by a ghost named Emily. One story claims that she was supposed to meet her lover here to elope, but he never showed, so she hung herself by the rafters. Another story is that she was left at the altar, so she rode towards the bridge in a frenzy. She failed to negotiate a turn correctly, and her whole horse and carriage went over into the water. She and her horses all died. So if there's no record of her, how did all these stories start? Like all ghostly stories start, a Ouija board. A high school kid in 1968 wrote a paper. He claimed to have spoke to a spirit named Emily at this bridge. Sound made up? What about all the paranormal activity at the bridge? The worst happens between midnight and 3:30 a.m. People have reported scratches on their body, seeing and even photographing her apparition, banging on their car, seeing her reflection in the rearview mirror. She's said to especially not like men. I wonder why. Others report their car malfunctioning, tires blowing out, and just feeling an eerie presence. I personally have felt this presence. Would you dare to go?
What if I told you Los Angeles is sitting on catacombs that's rumored to hold the key to the human race? 1933, a mining expert named George Warren Shufit was hanging around Los Angeles. He had created this machine that was like an x-ray machine, and he could check out what's underground. When Shufit took a reading in downtown LA, he created a map of the underground labyrinth. He reported at several points that underground there was big rooms that he had found gold deposits. During this time, George Warren Shufit had met a Native American man from the Hopi tribe who had claimed to know a story of a half-human, half-reptile race. So there's tons of articles to back up what I'm saying. The story went something along the lines of that about 5,000 years ago, this tribe had to basically seek asylum and go underground because there was a huge meteor shower that hit the west coast. Some of the meteors were as large as a city, leaving holes in the ground like, as big as Winslow Crater in Arizona. The Native American chief said these people were called the Lagardo people. Follow for part 2. This is part 2 of LA's Lost City Underground. The Native American chief told George that the people that he was looking for were called the Lagardo people. And the few that had survived the meteor shower retreated to the catacombs and were forced to seal the city off from the incoming meteor showers, killing them later from the natural gas that had slowly leaked into their underground city. George and the Native American chief, Little Greenleaf, retained a permit to dig a well above one of the larger rooms in the underground city. On February 21st, 1933, LA County wrote a contract with Warren Schuffel. Anything that they found was to be split 50-50 with the city of Los Angeles. When the LA newspapers got a hold of this story, some of the wells were already 100 meters deep. Several articles ran about the lost city under Los Angeles, and then poof, the project was abandoned. By March 34th, the wells had all been filled and the contract with the city was void. No findings were released and nothing else was put out about the lost city. I don't know, what do you guys think?
Let's talk about one of the most haunted places in India, Bhangar Fort. It was built in Rajasthan in 1573 by ruler Raja Bhagwant Das for his son Madho Singh. The town that once flourished was suddenly abandoned and rendered a ghost town. There are a few legends that contribute to the ghost stories that surround Bhangar Fort. One is that within the fort there lived a sadhu named Guru Balanath, and he was asked for permission to build the fort. He gave permission under one condition, that under no circumstance should a shadow from the fort be cast over his house, and if it did, the entire town would perish. He was promised this wouldn't happen, however, there was a failure to keep the promise, so a curse descended upon Bhangar. Another legend is that a beautiful princess named Ratnavati caught the eye of a talented magician who dabbled in the dark arts named Singhia. He tried to win her love, but she kept rejecting him. He then attempted to use a love potion on her by mixing it into her perfume. The princess found out about what he had done and ended up pouring the entire bottle of perfume out on a boulder, which ended up crushing Singhia to death. Before he died, he placed a curse on the town, leading to its demise. The next year, a war broke out, and the entire army of Bhangar was slaughtered, and the inhabitants of the village were massacred. According to locals, this curse is why the fort is now haunted. They say those who lived in the village previously were trapped there after death, cursed to roam the place for all eternity. Another unexplained phenomenon is that all the buildings and homes that surround the fort have no roofs. Locals say it's impossible to build a roof in the village because they collapse as soon as they are built. It is forbidden to spend the night at Bhangar Fort, and it is believed that those who do will meet their doom. Tales are told of 3 daredevils who decided to spend the night at the fort, and despite having a flashlight, one of them fell into a well. As soon as his friends were able to rescue him, they rushed to the hospital. However, on the way to the hospital, they were all involved in a freak accident that killed every single one of them. There are many similar stories told that those who dared to spend the night there met their doom. If you plan on visiting Bhangar Fort to check it out for yourself, you'll need to get a special permit to enter. It's open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Whatever you do, don't spend the night.